Hey guys, it's Helena. So today I wanted to do a deep dive into the brand Reformation and look at whether or not it's actually sustainable. So today I wanted to look at three main aspects of the company, which is their company culture and ideals, the impact the company has on the environment, and how the company deals with ethics and kind of transparency. So let's get into it. Just a little background on Reformation. It was founded in 2009 by Yael Aflalo, and she was a former model, and she started this company because she really wanted to kind of bring together sustainable fashion and trends. In an interview that I found on her, she actually called Reformation a sustainable fast fashion brand.
Different. So we started Reformation, and with Reformation we have green practices throughout. Fabrics to supply chain, even how we package it. What we are is like a green fast fashion brand. A green fast fashion brand.
Sustainable fashion and fast fashion doesn't really go together. So first, let's look at the company culture and ideals. On Reformation's About page, they say that they create fashion to highlight the feminine figure and to create styles that are in trend right now. And actually, I do think Reformation stuff is really cute, so that's kind of probably why they are managing to be successful. However, this past summer, when the Black Lives Matter movement was really coming to light and was all across social media, a former Black Reformation employee spoke up about Yael's treatment towards her and how there was a lack of company culture that really supported diversity and encouraged, Black and people of color employees to move up on the corporate ladder. Definitely put Reformation under scrutiny. Yael actually made a post because of that former employee who spoke out about it, saying, she had failed and that it was never her intention to be racist towards anyone, and she apologized. I found on their site, which was interesting, in their actually recent sustainability report, they said they hired a law firm called Morgan Lewis to look in and investigate all the allegations, and they determined that the Reformation was not actually being discriminatory or racist. So since those allegations, Yael has actually been replaced by Haley Bernstein as the new CEO. And there were other articles and things that said that Yael, back in the day when Reformation started, said they weren't ready for a Black model yet. So there's definitely questions and kind of concerns there of whether or not they were really inclusive back in the day. On their site right now, you definitely do see more diverse models. Not really sure if this happened just because of these allegations, or if they slowly started to do that in recent years, and hopefully Reformation will actually do the work that they say they will do. Another thing I wanted to look at was in terms of sizing and what kind of sizing Reformation offers. So they have their main collection for women 5'6" to 5'10", and they did launch a petite and a plus section as well, and their plus sizing goes up to size 22, and I think having diverse sizing and a wide range of sizing is actually really important when it comes to sustainable fashion. It will come in all different shapes and sizes and body sizes, and if someone wanted to purchase more sustainable options and they didn't have their size available, then that would definitely make it much more difficult to kind of transition to more sustainable clothing. So the second thing I wanted to look at was Reformation's impact on the environment, and really look at the materials that they use, the waste that they produce, and if they have anything that considers the afterlife of their garments. So Reformation rates their materials from A to E grade, and A means they are all-star materials, and E means ew, never, bad materials, and they say that their goal is to make 75% of their clothes from A and B fibers. From their list, it definitely seems like they do value certifications and try to use recycled materials, organic cotton, and all the kind of more sustainable fibers. So I was in their shopping section trying to look at a few garment examples, and the first few that I pulled up, all of them were made from viscose, and viscose isn't actually a really sustainable material. It definitely raises a lot of questions. So viscose is kind of a regenerative fiber, which means it's partly man-made, partly natural. Even though the root material is wood pulp, it goes through a lot of chemicals and a lot of processing to become the fiber, and those chemicals are really harsh, and that's why viscose, also known as rayon, isn't really a super sustainable fabric. Another aspect I couldn't really find on their site was about their dye process, what kind of chemicals and dyes they use to dye all their fabrics and print their fabrics, so that kind of raised some question marks for me as well. Dyes and chemicals can contribute a lot to the environmental impact of a garment as well. So one thing that Reformation does really well is that next to each item they have a ref scale, which looks at how much water, CO2, and waste is saved from you purchasing this Reformation item instead of a typical garment. So all these measurements are kind of based off of a comparison to typical US garments. They do say that they use the Higg index, also a third party, to help them, you know, kind of organize all their calculations and make sure that they're getting their facts about their fibers correctly. So they don't really show all of that, how that works, and I'm very interested in kind of seeing that breakdown. And I do think it makes the item more compelling and does make it seem like it is the more sustainable option as opposed to just buying from any other fast fashion brand. Reformation claims that most of their viscose is from sustainably managed forests. So Reformation has a sustainable forest commitment, and it says, working to eliminate sourcing from companies that are logging forests illegally, engaged in deforestation, or from areas being logged in contravention of indigenous and local people's rights, or from other controversial suppliers. They made a statement that 75% of their fibers are from the A and B sections of this material list. That means probably most of their viscose is from these Canopy approved sources. Reformation also uses some leather, and even though they say leather is from the byproduct of the meat and dairy industry, for me, maybe because I'm also vegan, I just don't really see it that way. I feel like leather is a part of the meat and dairy industry because you can profit from it. So leather isn't really a sustainable fabric from my perspective. As we're looking at the impact Reformation has on the environment, I also wanted to look at how they deal with waste and kind of the afterlife of their garments. On their site, Reformation says that they've been carbon neutral since 2015. They've managed to kind of offset their footprint by purchasing carbon offsets, whether that's to invest in other renewable energy sources or just other projects that kind of balance out their CO2 footprint, which I do think is a commendable thing since a lot of companies don't consider that at all. Another thing that they do offer on their site, they encourage their customers to switch to wind energy, and they also have other carbon offset options for a customer to purchase, and whether it's to offset a flight or just daily kind of activities. So I do think that's an interesting thing that they've thought about, and I wish more companies would do that as well. Another thing that they talk about on their sustainability page is an option to send back clothes through ThredUp, which is a separate company that takes back secondhand clothing that's in really good quality. And ThredUp says that they take about 40% of the items that you send to them, so you would get some credit from Reformation based on any items that ThredUp accepts. Reformation also says that they donate and recycle as much textile scraps as they can. Their goal is to be zero waste, but right now they kind of recycle about 75% of their waste. The last thing I wanted to look at was how Reformation takes on being transparent and how their workers are treated and kind of the ethics of that. So on their site, Reformation says that 100% of their employees earn a living wage. They also have a code of conduct on their site that they say that all of their factories and manufacturers have to follow. All of it kind of seems and checks out, like workers are treated fairly in safe conditions, they aren't abused, no child labor. So I read through their code of conduct and was just a little alarmed when they had the one point about forced, bonded, indentured, and prison labor. Points say, you know, all work must be conducted on a voluntary basis, not under threat of any penalty or sanctions. I guess my question was, are they working with factories that use prison labor just in general? That just kind of raised some questions for me. If anyone knows any more about that, let me know. So on their site, Reformation also breaks down where their factories fall, kind of similar to how they did their materials. They said 53 of their vendors are green factories, which is the best. 42% are yellow, 2% are orange, and 2% are red. So majority are in the green and yellow areas, which means that the facility has met their standards, or there are some minor, moderate issues that need corrective plans. I'm curious what those moderate issues are. I almost wish they would kind of release it for each factory, what kind of those issues were. It would definitely be something I would be curious to know as a customer. Reformation does provide a list of all their suppliers and factories that they use, which I do commend them for, since not all brands do that. Since they do have their own LA factory, they definitely have that advantage of making sure that their workers are properly treated and safe. And they do have some videos also that show of them doing little interviews with their garment workers. So I thought that was a nice touch that they do have that. I wish that more brands, including Reformation, would be able to connect with their overseas factories and show more videos of the production and behind the scenes there, since I think that's one of the hardest things is for us as consumers to know what's going on overseas. And since Reformation is a bigger company, they're able to conduct audits, and they say that they conduct audits at these sites, and based on whether or not there are certain aspects that need to be changed at that factory or things that are of question, they will then perform another audit or not work with that factory. Because Reformation is a bigger company, I'm glad that they are actually, you know, doing the work of making sure audits are being performed and that these factories are being checked, and making sure that all of those boxes are checked of, you know, workers being treated properly, fairly, and in safe conditions. So after doing a deep dive into Reformation, I would probably give it a B to a B+. And for me, some of the questions are still around diversity and inclusion in the company after those allegations, and really seeing that there's change from those allegations, and some questions regarding the materials they use, such as the viscose and leather, and also regarding their factories, if they could even divulge more information and be more transparent about what's going on in their factories, them being such a large company and producing so much clothing, how they really see that as being sustainable. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this brand analysis, kind of deep dive into whether or not Reformation is truly sustainable. I know this was a little bit of a different, longer video, a bit more in-depth of a brand analysis. Let me know if you like these videos. I'm happy to do another brand as well. And again, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have an amazing day. Bye.